Bears Baseball Network. We had another great week of the Bears Winter League, and I'll tell you what, definitely compared to last year, the records of these leagues are very, very tight. Of the 4 leagues right now, we've got 2 of them that are 4-2. We got 1 of them that's 3-3, and then we got 1 that is 5-1. But all of the leagues have been very, very competitive, and it's been a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting with the Week 6 matchups. The first one, the 12-13U League, it was a Throwbacks victory. They improved to 4-2 on the season. And for me, this one, it was just a case of clutch pitching and clutch hitting. You know, this game really came down to who got the big hit in the game, and ended up being Owen Lewis for the Throwbacks, who came through with that big hit. Bernie, I actually want to start with you on this one. From what you've seen, you know, it's been a lot of clutch hits from 12U players in this 12-13U league, like Owen Lewis, like Harrison Bleibom. How do you think those 12U guys have been able to fare against these big 13U pitchers?
Yeah, I think you're seeing it, kind of as the weeks go on. These guys get more adjusted. Guys like Cam and ZJ are throwing harder than any guys we've seen, especially this past fall, past summer. So they're adjusting to it. Owen Lewis, Harrison both have been taking great at-bats. Other guys too at 12U, including Rudy. Owen Lewis also came in and had clutch pitching in that same game this week too. Yeah,
and I'll tell you what, the pitching was on point. I don't remember what the final score of the game was, but I do know that both pitchers absolutely shoved to start the game, ZZ and Cam. KJ, these 2 guys, obviously, in the regular season, they're going to be both on your pitching staff. How impressed were you by ZZ and Cam in this pitching outing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's come with both of them, they've both been fairly consistent, which is something, last year we saw sparks of both of them being great. But this year we're seeing them being great all the time, which I think is a great sign, and I'm really excited for our pitching staff.
Yeah, and 2 more guys I kind of want to touch on in this league, both who I think had similar questions, I would say, coming into the BWL, but both have really, really impressed me, and they are Diego Buccio and Garrett Knight. The big knock on these 2 guys was, are they going to be able to lay off curveballs? And not only are Diego and Garrett laying off curveballs, but if you leave a curveball up, they've been hammering them. I know Diego had a home run on a curveball this week. Garrett Knight had a home run on a curveball a couple weeks ago, but he's just been hitting everything really, really hard. KJ, for you, these 2 guys, how do you think, how have you seen their maturity at the plate in the BWL?
Yeah, they're going from guys who are just, the first step is to get guys swinging hard. And then, that's where they were both at last year. They were swinging hard, but they were, swinging at stuff over their head, swinging at stuff in the dirt. And I think both of them, I saw more with, both of them really started in the fall, tearing it up and just laying off curveballs, smacking fastballs. And now they've taken another step in their game, where they are still crushing fastballs and laying off curveballs in the dirt. But if you throw a curveball in the zone, they're still hammering it. So, they both matured as hitters, very well over the last couple months.
Yeah, I've been very, very impressed by those 2 guys. Moving on to the 14-15U B League. This is a league that's 3-3. It was a throwback victory this week. They came in and took care of business. It was really a dominant pitching performance. In 6 innings, 15 strikeouts from the Throwbacks pitching staff, which, if you remember, after week 2, 3, and 4, that was the weakness for this team, was that pitching staff. I believe 15 Ks to 1 walk. It was an absolutely dominant performance. Bernie, I want to talk about a couple guys that I know you've been high on. Jaden Coleman and Alex Ruppel. These 2 guys combined for 11 strikeouts in this one. And actually, let's throw Lucas Perry in there as well. Those 3 guys combined for 13 strikeouts between them. Bernie, these 3 guys, what do you think has really made them effective both in the regular season and also in the BWL?
Yeah, all 3 of those guys I've seen persistent pitching over the past couple months. They've been working really hard at it. But, especially for Ruppel and Jaden, they're both guys who started in the A-League, pitched in the A-League. Maybe didn't have their best stuff. Maybe were working around the zone because they were facing such good hitters, right? They're maybe a little timid about it. But both those guys, I said, when they get down to the B League, they're going to dominate. And both guys, Ruppel in a couple lines dominated, and Jaden had, 8, 9 Ks this week?
Yeah, 8. Yeah, 8 Ks in 3 innings of work for Jaden Coleman. He was absolutely dominant, and again, being able to be in the strike zone. Again, it's one thing if you have 15 Ks and 11 walks, right? That's one thing, but 15 Ks, 1 walk is absolutely dominant to be in the strike zone, but also getting those swings and misses. KJ, this is now 2 weeks in a row that this pinstripe team has fallen. When you're talking about guys to step up, and I know Evan Little's been taking good at bats, Trevor Anderson has some really good at bats, Braden Miller, Matt Bender, guys are stepping up in the hitting department. What do you think over the next couple weeks the pinstripes need to do to kind of get this league back in their favor?
Yeah, obviously we lost 3 guys. 2 of them moved up. 1 of them moved to the Throwbacks A team, and they were 3 of our big-time pitchers. I think we got to find more consistency at pitching. We had 3 guys who were throwing strikes, and now we're struggling to find multiple guys who can throw strikes. So I think the offense is doing well. I think everyone I put up there is putting up a pretty good at-bat. We got to find some more strike throwers, though. We got to find ways to get guys out.
Let's go ahead and move on to the 14-15U A-League. This one was a dominant pinstripe victory. I don't remember what the score was, but it was, I believe, like 15, 16 to 1 or 2. It was a dominant game for sure. These guys just came out and took fantastic at-bats off Quinn Steinbeck, and then the pitching staff on the other side just was able to shut down the throwbacks hitters. I mean, really, this game was... I believe in this league there was like a 16-2 throwbacks win a couple weeks ago, but for the most part this league's been pretty close, but this was a dominant pinstripes win from top to bottom. KJ, these guys, I actually want to start with the pitching staff. Lucas Wilburn, who is one of your lone 14U pitchers, he absolutely dealt in this one. What did you see from Lucas Wilburn? Gave him the start this week. How did you think he shut down the throwbacks?
Yeah, Lucas, he came out just throwing hard. He was throwing hard. He was throwing his slider for strikes, which is something... I think his last outing, he was throwing a lot of breaking balls not in the zone, and no one was chasing him. But his fastball was so good, it made his breaking ball even better, and vice versa. So he just had everything going, and he dominated through 3.
Yeah, he was absolutely dominant, and I mean, by the time Lucas was out of the game, it was basically over. For the side of the throwbacks, I think it was just the case of we had an opportunity to kind of equalize in the first inning. We could have easily gotten the game back to tied or even just down by 1, and we just weren't able to get that big hit. And that's kind of been the theme for this team. I think the pitching staff needs to be better about getting breaking balls in the strike zone because these pinstripe hitters are so good that even though, for example, Quinn and even Mason Geddes and those guys, their breaking balls are great, but if you're just throwing it in the dirt, you're not going to get a lot of chases from hitters like this. So I think the throwbacks just got to do a better job of throwing those off-speed pitches in the strike zone to force the pinstripes to kind of swing at them. Then moving into the 18U game, it was a dominant win for the Pinstripes as well. This is the league that is 5-1. So looking at this league, this was an absolutely dominant performance. And I'll tell you what, it's one of those that was a little bit surprising. Nayo Guzman on the mound. He's not necessarily known as a big-time pitcher, but KJ in this one, Nayo threw a great game, was able to keep the throwback shut down, and the offense just took care of business. What did you see from Nayo Guzman in his start this week?
Yeah, I think he came in with nothing to lose. He's a guy who's been cut in that league a couple times, and I needed a starter, and he came in with nothing to lose, no pressure. He knew he had a good offense behind him, and he did tell me after we scored 1 in the first inning, he did tell me that was going to be enough. So, and he backed it up. He was just throwing hard, throwing strikes. It seemed like he was getting in trouble every inning, but working out of it. So I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, and if there's a silver lining for the throwbacks team, I'll tell you what, some of the lower end guys on the roster, some of those guys that are maybe bench bats that you think are not going to contribute very much, I thought they've been taking some very good at bats. Andrew Kahlberg and TJ Patrick are 2 guys who, in their last 2 at bats, each are 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run. So it's like these guys have been hitting. So maybe there is some life for this team after all. I mean, for the most part, I think this is the second blowout loss the throwbacks have had. Every other game has been close, so I don't think that this league is necessarily just over and done with. But the throwbacks do need to start playing a little bit better, and we'll see if they can do it starting this week. Let's go ahead and talk about the Week 7 matchups. It'll be Pinstripes at home, the 12-13U league. It's going to be Harrison Blabaum, the 12U guy, facing Caden Inman on the mound for the Pinstripes. Bernie, on paper, definitely a little bit of a pitching mismatch in terms of the veteranship of Caden Inman, but like you talked about a lot, Bernie, especially on BBN After Dark, Harrison was an ace down the stretch for that 12U team. Bernie, what are your thoughts about this one? You are now 16-8 in your predictions. Went 3-1 again this week. See if you can keep it up. What do you think about this game, Bernie? Harrison Blabaum versus Caden Inman.
Yeah, like you said, Caden's the veteran around here. He had a very good innings last time out. He's had good innings all season, so he's going to pitch well. And with Harrison, I just said before on the show that the 12 guys are getting more and more comfortable as the season goes on. I think Harrison's first time on the mound, he didn't throw any strikes, and then his second time, he looked more like himself. I think this time he's going to look solid again. But with just how good Caden is, I think the Pinstripes pitching staff overall is in a better spot. I'll take the Pinstripes to win this game this week.
Yeah, this is a huge one for the throwbacks because if the throwbacks can get a win without their big dogs pitching, I think that'll be huge for this one. But I do think the Pinstripes may be a little bit favored with that pitching matchup. Moving into the 14-15U B League, it's going to be Alex Ruppel, although I will say he's only available for 2 innings because he did throw 1 in relief this week, going up against Big Wheatley, big consistency. Bernie, this league has been the tightest of them all, 3-3 in this one. What do you think, Bernie? Pinstripes versus throwbacks in the B League.
Yeah, I think everyone knows how much I love Rupp. I think he's a great pitcher, and I said this every week since the Pinstripes lost those big pitchers. I'm gonna make them prove it. I picked the throwbacks every week since, and I think they've won every week since. So I'm just gonna do the same thing until the Pinstripes win.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that Pinstripes lineup, like KJ said, they've been very, very solid, but unfortunately, the pitching staff a little bit too inconsistent with strike throwing and a little bit too many fastballs down the middle for that team. So hopefully, Big Wheat, he's been the guy who's been consistent all season. See if he can bring things back in the Pinstripes' favor. The A-League, it'll be Braden King going up against Evan Lancaster, and I'll tell you what, Evan Lancaster has been very, very sharp all season long. So on paper, I think this one favors BK, but it may not be so clear. Bernie, what do you think? Evan Lancaster, Braden King here in the A-League.
Yeah, I think Evan, again, Braden's the veteran here, but I think Evan's going to put up a very good outing, right? I think this is going to be a fight through 3 innings. This is the hardest matchup by far to me, but I'm going to pick the Pinstripes, just keep on rolling after their big win last week.
Yeah, definitely a bounce-back game opportunity for the Throwbacks because if the Pinstripes win this one and go up 5-2, I could see that league steamrolling. And then finally, we have the 18U League. We got the classic matchup, Mac versus Elliott, the two aces on the mound. I think last time these two guys pitched, it was 0-0 through 3, so maybe it's going to count on the bullpens and the offense late in games. Bernie, what do you got in this matchup? It is 5-1 favoring the Pinstripes.
Yeah, like I said, this game could very well be 0-0 again after 3. After those two guys, I'm not sure how we look at the pitching staff. Is Brady Heck going to be available this week? If Brady Heck's available, I will pick the Pinstripes. I think they're a better team. And with Mac and Brady, they could shut it down this week and take the victory.
Yeah, I mean, KJ basically only had to use Nio. He used Rose Selby. He really didn't have to use that many big arms, so he's got basically everybody for this game. So, Bernie, going Pinstripes, Throwbacks, Pinstripes. Definitely going to be another fun week of the BWL. Just a reminder, every win after 5, you get a run in the championship game, so that's kind of the home field advantage. Also, you get to be the home team, but you get 1 run in the championship for every win you get over 5. So, the 18U Pinstripes looking to get a run on the board for the championship game here, and maybe even the A-League. Pinstripes are going to get in that realm as well. That's going to do for this episode of the Bears Baseball Network, though. Check out BWL this week, and we'll talk to y'all next week.